The NFL offseason is always full of surprises, but this one really caught me off guard. A former Dallas Cowboy is coming out of retirement and looking for a way back into the league. And not just any player, Michael Gallup. Yeah, you heard that right. Gallup, the same wide receiver who once made some of the most spectacular catches in a Cowboys uniform, is suddenly back in the conversation. The Raiders had placed him on the retired list, but now they've officially released him, making him free to sign with any team, and you already know what that means. The rumors about a return to Dallas are spreading like wildfire. But let's be real here, would bringing Gallup back actually be a good move? On one hand, there's the nostalgia factor. Fans still remember his breakout seasons, his clutch sideline catches, and the chemistry he once had with Dak Prescott. But on the other hand, let's not forget why he left in the first place. After tearing his ACL, Gallup was never the same. His explosiveness dropped, his separation suffered, and eventually, the Cowboys moved on. Now, after stepping away from football entirely, does it really make sense to give him another shot? Or would it be nothing more than an emotional decision rather than a strategic one? That's the big question here. The Cowboys do need wide receiver depth, but is a veteran coming out of retirement really the answer? Or should Dallas be looking at fresher, faster options in free agency? What do you think? Would you bring Michael Gallup back to the Cowboys? Drop your take in the comments, I want to hear from you. And while we're debating Gallup's return, something even bigger is happening in this free agency. Something that could change everything for the Cowboys. Let's talk about it next. Something strange is happening this offseason. Have you noticed it? Big-name players, guys who should be locked in with their teams, are suddenly getting cut, traded, or just left hanging in free agency. It's like the league is handing out elite talent on a silver platter, and the Cowboys? Well, they have a golden opportunity if they're willing to take it. Think about it. We're seeing top-tier pass rushers, lockdown corners, and offensive weapons all hitting the market at the same time. That kind of free agent depth doesn't happen every year. And for a team like Dallas, one that always claims to be just a few pieces away, this should be a dream scenario. But here's the catch. How do the Cowboys take advantage of this without blowing up their future? They could go all in on a superstar, making a blockbuster signing that shakes up the entire NFC, or they could take a smarter, more balanced approach, spreading their cap space across multiple key additions. The reality is, Dallas does have some money to work with, but it's not unlimited. They need to be strategic. That means deciding between one major splash or multiple solid upgrades across the roster, and let's be honest, we've seen how this front office operates. They rarely go all in during free agency, preferring to build through the draft. But with so many elite names available, can they really afford to sit back and watch? I want to hear from you. What's the best move here? Would you rather the Cowboys make one massive signing, like locking in a game-changing edge rusher or corner? Or would you prefer they spread their money out and sign several good players instead? Vote in the comments and let's see where everyone stands. And speaking of game-changing signings, one of the best defensive players in the league could be up for grabs. Pairing him with Micah Parsons? That would be flat-out terrifying. Let's break it down next. Alright, now we're talking about something real exciting. Imagine the Dallas Cowboys defense with a player like Trey Hendrickson on the roster. Hendrickson, the Cincinnati Bengals edge rusher, has been nothing short of a beast over the past few seasons. In fact, in 2023, he recorded 13 sacks. That's no fluke. This guy can rush the passer, and that's exactly what the Cowboys need. Pairing Hendrickson with Micah Parsons on the opposite side would make Dallas defense an absolute nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. Just think about it: two elite pass rushers, constantly coming from different angles, making life miserable for anyone trying to drop back. The pressure they create together, next level. It's a combination that could instantly elevate Dallas defense to top-tier status. But here's where it gets tricky. Would it be worth it to trade for him, considering the cost? The Bengals are probably looking for a decent return, and while Hendrickson's talent is undeniable, does Dallas want to give up assets, draft picks? For example, when they could invest in another piece of the puzzle? Here's where it really gets interesting. If the Cowboys trade for Hendrickson, they instantly add an elite pass rusher to their already impressive defense. But if they pass on him, are there other players on the market that could bring the same impact without draining the draft capital? So, let's talk business. Would you, as the Cowboys GM, trade for Hendrickson, even if it means giving up future picks? Or would you prefer to look elsewhere? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious about what you all think. But what if the Cowboys didn't make a blockbuster move like this? What if they decided to spread the wealth, adding multiple players to beef up their defense? Instead, let's explore that idea next. Alright, now that we've looked at one potential star in Hendrickson, let's step back and think about the bigger picture. The Cowboys could go all in on one superstar, or they could spread the wealth and bring in several solid players to reinforce the roster. On one hand, securing a player like Trey Hendrickson could give you an instant game changer, someone who can consistently impact games. But let's not forget that while superstars are flashy and exciting, sometimes it's the depth that really makes the difference. Imagine if the Cowboys brought in not one, but 2 or 3 experienced players to strengthen their defense across the board. You're looking at a guy like Jonathan Allen who could add a lot to the interior line. Or maybe Von Miller to add some pass rushing power off the edge. Even though he's getting a bit older, he still has it. Throw in an Amari Cooper to bolster the offense and give Dog another weapon. The key here is balance. Adding a superstar may give you a big boost in one area, but spreading out your investments can help improve the team in multiple facets. Think about the money to Dallas may be able to get a few solid players without breaking the bank, giving them more flexibility for future seasons. There's also the draft to consider. If the Cowboys focus on signing a few veterans in free agency, they could use their draft picks to add young talent to key positions that could help them create a well-rounded team for years to come, not just a short-term solution. Now, here's a big question for you. If you were Jerry Jones, which path would you take? Would you splash the cash on a big name like Hendrickson or focus on multiple strong, affordable additions to fill out the roster? I'm really interested to know your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. The clock is ticking, and whatever the strategy, the Cowboys have a real chance to make a serious run in 2024. But will they pull the trigger on a game-changing move? We'll explore that in the next chapter. We've talked about the options, the stars like Trey Hendrickson, the multiple solid players, and even the strategies that could shape the Cowboys' future. But now it's time to circle back to the big question. Will Jerry Jones and the Cowboys actually make a move? Right now, the NFL landscape is overflowing with talented players who could make an immediate impact. And the best part, Dallas has the salary cap flexibility too. Make it happen. The Cowboys are in a prime position to upgrade their roster without worrying about hurting their future financials. The window is wide open, but will they walk through it? We all know the Cowboys' history with free agency. It's a mixed bag, to say the least. Sometimes they've made bold moves, but more often than not, it feels like they sit back and wait. That hesitation has been a source of frustration for fans. There's always a reason to be cautious, but at some point, you've got to ask, how many more times can we let opportunities slip through our fingers? For Dallas to avoid another season of disappointment, they need to act now. They can't afford to let this offseason pass without addressing critical needs. Success in free agency isn't just about getting the big names, it's about the right moves at the right time. If the Cowboys can add the right pieces, whether that's a superstar or several solid players, they could be in serious contention for the NFC East title and beyond in 2024. So here's my final question for you. Do you think the Cowboys will finally take advantage of this opportunity in free agency, or will they let it pass by? What's your gut feeling about Jerry Jones' next move? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.